Welcome to another episode of This Week in Sports. Of course, I'm here at the front of the house. I'll be your server today. My name is Zach, and in the back, in the kitchen, I have my chef, Nick, cooking up all the good stories for us.
Order up.
How we doing today?
So far, so good.
What a week it was in sports. Things are starting to ramp up a little bit. You can smell the waft of football just in the air near the corner.
Oh, it's really picking up, yeah.
It is. WNBA is getting closer and closer to the end, and we're kind of coming down to the time to fight or flight. Baseball is still going on. We'll have I think the last week of PLL, if I remember correctly as well.
This was the end of the regular season, yep.
And a couple other sports that we'll touch on through the day. Where would you like to begin today?
We can knock out that PLL update since we do not have any Outlaws action to cover. It was, like we said, the last week, and we had it was kind of do or die games for the last week here. Both I think it was the Water Dogs and the Carolina Chaos both had to play their ways in. The New York Atlas locked up the 1 seed in the East. That was still up for grabs. I did not realize this. I misspoke last week. The Carolina Chaos are in the Western Division of the PLL.
Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah, that's a great question. Geography notwithstanding. Yeah, so the Western Division is now the Outlaws locked in with the bye and the number 1 seed. On the 23rd, everyone gets a week off, gets next weekend off. Come back on August the 23rd for our semifinals matchup of the Philadelphia Water Dogs versus the Maryland Whipsnakes. And then the Carolina Chaos versus the California Redwoods. And then lowest seed of the two winners out of there faces us, and the higher seed faces the Atlas. And the winners of those games will go on to the September 14th championship game. So we're going to have a little time down in between all the rounds.
Do we know where they're playing? Are they still traveling, or is this sort of a little bit more of a home field advantage sort of deal?
Well, depends on who makes it through, but I do believe we are still rotating locations each week. And I believe we're looking at an East Coast run where it's going to be like Boston, Maryland, and then championship, I want to say, is in Philly this year, potentially. But yeah, so it was a pretty exciting week. The Atlas and Chaos had a pretty good all-timer as well. Chaos were desperately trying to save their season. They did not manage to do it. It came down to the wire, though, in a 20-19 barn burner of no defense in the second half whatsoever. Let's see here. So our quarterfinals, when we come back on the 23rd, are going to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And then our quarterfinals are going to be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then that means our championship game happens on the 14th in Harrison, New Jersey.
Gotta love the East Coast for at least the PLL stuff. They are cutting it a little close now, and I assume some of these places are going to start to get slightly colder now that we're kind of coming out of the summer, but who knows?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be milder weather, one would assume, in September, but I think the bigger thing for them is that some of these guys are probably also playing NLL come wintertime as well, so they need to be wrapped up by then. But yeah, it's going to be a kind of slow drip of PLL updates here as we wrap up the summer season.
Yep, only 4 teams left now, so really could be anybody's. Hopefully another team from Colorado snags the championship, though. They are the number 1 seed for a reason, and we've kind of talked about them all season long. They've looked fairly good, especially towards the end here. Had a little bit of a rocky start, and like we talked about, we have some of the best players in professional lacrosse on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the best young players, a really strong core, and hopefully my only concern with this scheduling is that this isn't like they were playing really good on a consistent basis, but now that you're giving them like 3 out of the next 5 weeks off, are they going to get cold?
Who knows? It's always the philosophy. Is it better to have more time off, or should you be playing? Whoever really knows the answer.
Yeah, I think in a physical sport like this, though, rest tends to be beneficial.
One would think, one would assume. Continuing on with our mix of sports here, we have a load of soccer news here, football news for the nation, for the world. You have noted here in the MLS, we've seen the debut of a player on the brink of retirement once again, Sung Hoo Ming from Tottenham, I do believe.
Yep.
Came over on a massive transfer. Of course, who else has his money other than LA? The LAFC take on another big name, which they've been known to do in the past.
Now, I did not realize, because I was, didn't realize that MLS was already doing multiple teams per state and now multiple teams per city, because I already knew about LA Spark, and I kind of just, in my head, was like, oh yeah, the LA MLS team. And no, LAFC is now a different, slightly younger team.
LAFC is different from the LA Galaxy, I do believe, is who they have out there as their other team. Tis the way. The MLS they are a well-seasoned professional sport now, at least in America. Still working out how to be a real professional soccer league, I would say. But
they're not beating any of the allegations that this is a retirement league for actual soccer players.
Yeah, I might have been last week or the week before, Messi and I forget who the other Miami dude got fined and got a 1-game suspension for not showing up to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So they're kind of taking the money out of the league, which they were not a fan of in general. But
Sure.
Continuing on down the soccer news, of course, the real professional league in America, the NWSL, boys, that a lot of variables are consonants and variables that I'm not going to say together well at all.
The Women's Soccer League.
The National Women's Soccer League, so much smoother. Our Colorado Summit here got their first player earlier this week. Don't ask how, don't ask why. But we are bringing home Colorado's very own Allie Watt from Orlando. She is slotted to be the very first Colorado Summit player, at least for next year.
Yeah, on paper, she is the first roster spot filled in. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Homegrown.
We have a lot of them out there in the NWSL.
Exactly. And I think if you can start building that reputation of like, hey, let's start building a sort of like Colorado super team, that could be a very strong team very quickly.
Yeah, we have a lot of representation for the Olympic soccer team, for the U.S. women's national team, who has their own sort of deal going on. Colorado also found their coach, Nick Cushing, who has been overseas, has been an assistant, and this will be his first head coaching job as well. And then, good news for all, real soccer has actually started and I believe kicked off earlier this week. The one I think that people are going to be paying attention to is, of course, Disney's team. Wrexham started their first go here in the Champions League, one league away from finally making it to the Premier League after being at the very, very bottom. They played yesterday. They did not win, though, however, 2-1. And for some of you're going to say that's not too bad, especially for your first time in there. Time of possession is 75%, 25% not in Wrexham's favor.
Yeah, that checks out. I mean, it defies all logic to be good when you get promoted up to the next league.
I think the Champions League is the toughest league, especially from a newcomer team, because you have all the teams that were just in the Premier League getting promoted down. Like they had to play Southampton, who's kind of bounced in and out of the Premier League for the past few years now. That's like a tough match. That's like almost a true Premier League team that you have to go face against.
Exactly.
Just some soccer news to wrap up here for our random sports. Let's go to something maybe that's in season, or let's talk about what's going on in hockey before we talk about what's actually happening, the true sports that are happening.
Yeah, just a couple rumblings in the hockey world this week. The Avs actually did a thing for the roster. We re-signed Yoel Kiviranta, who had been a free agent up until this point in the summer, surprising a few people because he had put up a very solid career year, really solidified himself again into a bottom 6 position coming out of a professional tryout where they said, we kind of like your game, but we want you to go to the Eagles first and work on it some more. And he said, can do. Went down there and worked on it and has provided a really nice kind of, solid piece in that bottom 6. He is going to be around for another year at $1.4 million. Solid deal for us in terms of we know he fits the system. We know he fits the locker room, all that good stuff. So that's just a nice little solidification there. Doesn't set the world on fire. Ideally, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more term, because now we'll just be doing this dance again next summer, but oh well. That is the only real actual hockey news. The other note I found from pretty funny that I felt like talking about this week was that the Utah Mammoth newly named hockey team have launched their first lawsuit in self-defense, they claim, against Mammoth Hockey Bags out of Portland, Oregon, who they had like some fun little back and forth on social media when the name got originally announced, but then earlier this week, the Mammoth hockey team have said that they have reached an impasse of some sort, and that because of a legal threat that Mammoth Hockey Bags brought to them, they are now suing Mammoth Hockey Bags for copyright infringement. The suit that Mammoth Hockey was going to bring against the hockey team was that by naming themselves the Utah Mammoth, it would make them seem unappealing to fans of other teams in the league. It's a funny thing. It's not a particular, like, of all the companies to start getting into a fight with as the Utah Mammoth. But yeah, so got a little lawsuit on our hands, and I'll keep us posted on how that goes forward. But a fun start to their new franchise identity. I've seen some rumblings.
Have you seen any rumblings of potential move of a backup goalie that we have, perhaps?
It's kind of always in discussion of who we can or can't move, but I had not heard any rumblings in the goalie market so much since we do have Blackwood locked in now. That's kind of a thing that we don't really have to worry about. We've got our Russian goalie.
Yeah, I'd seen a weird story out there, don't know if it's true or not, that potentially Wedgwood may be getting sent out to Edmonton, in fact, and we'll swap goalies with them because they were so displeased with how old what's-his-name is out there.
Edmonton's definitely looking to upgrade. I think that might be a little bit of just off-season looking around the league and being like, well, who could they go after? Because, yeah, Wedgwood is on, I think, just one more year of his deal. We do have our prospect coming up in the pipeline. So it makes sense to like come to the Avs and be like, hey, what would you guys be looking for Wedgwood? I don't think that's a super high probability, especially considering all the assets we had to do to finagle getting the woodshed together. So I don't anticipate that to happen unless it's like a really good deal overpay on the Edmonton side. Because the other rumor I've been seeing floating around more of this week is Sam Girard getting packaged up in a trade deal somewhere.
That'd be a weird one.
Everyone wants to, like, haters of the Avs or of like specific players in general tend to have a thing for Sammy Girard because he doesn't put up the offensive numbers like the other guys do.
It feels like it's always Sam Girard moving somewhere.
Yeah, and like we covered with our fun little fantasy GM project, he's on a good contract. It's like $5 million a year. He does a great job. He has elite skills. And I don't know. Yeah, it would be hard to get good return value on a Sammy G trade, like without getting 2 or 3 pieces back.
It's tough. Like the one thing, even in the GM experiment I have, there's no way to quantify how well somebody does on the defensive side for the most part. Offense, it's easy. You can give them points or whatever. There's so many different advanced statistics. On the defensive side, it's like damn near impossible to figure out who.
Yeah, much closer to the old scrying days than advanced like mathematical statistics still in a lot of categories for sure.
The best way you have to possibly do is you kind of have to just go by the eye test of Is he doing the job that he's supposed to be doing for the most part, or potentially more?
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, a few of those rumors kind of moving around. Like I said, we do still have a couple open spots, but the trend for the front office has largely been quiet in the summer, and we'll make moves in season if we need to. Which we saw last year with the goalie situation. We had made a few moves around like the bottom 6 as well, and the call-up guys from the Eagles just weren't quite doing the job. So I think it is like we'll give the young kids a shot out of camp, but if we need to make the moves later in the year, we will. That
has been shown. You are not safe until everyone feels comfortable.
Basically. But yeah, otherwise that was kind of the main notes of the hockey world this week. We are still slowly ramping up into camp shape now. Like some players are starting to show up for their own skating over at Family Sports. We have Brent Burns officially on the ice in his Avs gear. And we now know what number he's going to be wearing because his previous numbers of 8 and 88 were already taken.
Who is 88 Natchez?
Yep. So 2 guys who are unfortunately too well established to ask to change
Can I
their
have
number.
888?
He's going to go with 84.
Yeah, I was about to say you can slash in half probably.
Fine, yeah, which is a fine compromise. And yeah, that's about it. The like I said, preseason is going to get started in October, which is rolling ever closer, but still about 8 more weeks before we have to worry about that.
Yeah, the crazy whack preseason schedule that they have out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dribble our way into what's happening in the regular season here. We'll go with action in the WNBA. This week, start with the Aces. Aces come away undefeated this week. A perfect 3-0 for them. They ended up beating the Velks twice. Once on Sunday, and then I think once on Tuesday. They basically had a back-to-back, essentially.
Oof.
First game 101-77, and the second game 78-72, a little bit closer there. And they ended up also beating the Storm 90-86. Aja and Jackie Wilson, or Jackie Young out there, excuse me. They are kind of putting on the work boots now and kind of getting things going for that Aces team. I think we're slowly going to see them kind of make their way up the standings, which we'll talk about here once we do our full weekly wrap up. Vegas has 15 games left to go in the season as well. So every team kind of sitting around that mark, 16, 15, 14, somewhere in there. The Liberty, we still know Stewie in hand, but they are still holding on to the second spot. They did get back on track this week. They ended up going 3-0 as well. They had a pretty soft schedule also this week that helps a lot. They ended up beating Dallas twice, 85-76 and 88-77, and then they also beat the Suns to kind of get their streak going, 87-78. So 2 teams that are a little bit down in the dumps and found a way to get themselves back up on the right track without their captain leader on board. And then the Storm had a little bit of a tough one this week. We talked about them. They were kind of in that upper echelon middle pack. They ended up taking a full slide this week. 0-3. They lost to the Fever 74-78. The Lynx, who we know are a tough team, 87-91. And then Vegas, like we already talked about, 86-90.
That is a tough week of games to go through back to back to back.
A little bit of a buzzsaw. All those teams basically playoff perennial teams. There are games going on currently. Liberty did lose today 83-71 because they ended up playing the Lynx, who are the team to beat right now.
Sure.
They don't even have this may be have been Nafisa's game back potentially. Yeah, no Nafisa or Stewie. So this is basically role player versus role player.
I mean, that's a good a test of your depth, though. It's good to see what the rest of the bench looks like.
Yeah, I mean, New York is going to be okay because they have Ionesco for the most reason, and they put a very decent team together. Minnesota is kind of like a hodgepodge of a bunch of people who can do a bunch of different things. Kayla McBride, like we talked about, and who was our player of the week last week. Courtney Williams has been incredible for them. They just got Dejanay Carrington, who's on their roster now. They're kind of stacked over there in the Minnesota. And it wouldn't be a sports talk show if we didn't talk about LA. The Sparks coming away 2-1, still continuing on their run as of last week. They beat the Fever 191, the Suns 102-91, but they do lose to the Valkyrie 72-59. Little tough game for them there. No one was having a good time for the most part.
Now that is a little bit of an extreme sort of swing between 2 100+ games of offense and then a 59.
Yeah, the Marble Ocean did not. It was a tough one out there. There's a lot of frustration going on. We've heard quite a bit of frustration about how the officiating has gone in the WNBA from a number of various sources.
Players, coaches, officials.
Multiple have been fined, potentially multiple times have been, in fact. Yeah, sometimes the frustration just kind of heads, and you can't throw anything in the bottom of the net, and that's just how she goes. That's the way basketball is sometimes, unfortunately. Looking at the league now, like we talked about, Minnesota and New York holding like tall up top for the most part. Atlanta's right behind them, 19-11. Phoenix still in their spot, 19-11. Indiana creeping up to 5 this week after the slide from Seattle. Thank you, Seattle. Vegas climbing up from their big jump and Seattle slide, 17. Seattle finally coming back in at 7. Golden State makes their way back in at 8. The Sparks working their way up to 9th now, and Washington sliding all the way down to 10th out of contention.
And they've just been making a bunch of moves this week, hadn't they?
They've been kind of playing around with who's on their team and whatnot.
Okay.
I'm unsure what their plan is. Like I wouldn't say they're in the hunt for a trophy. They are playoff potential, but I don't know how much that buys you. Like you making the playoffs and having kind of that middle of the road team versus trying to figure out what pieces fit well with what you have going on here. Now that they know what they have going on this season, especially with Citron out there, I expect they build around her very much like every other team has done with their sort of superstar. So I expect them to make more moves to get that settled.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like you said, when you're onboarding a lot of young talent, it's going to take a little bit to figure out what pieces you need and which ones will actually like click together from on the court.
Very much so. But that is the week in the WNBA. Like I talked about, there's not very many games left, and every team is sort of fighting for a spot right now. From 3 down, it's 6 games apart, which is just a couple weeks of games. You can have a 6 games swing just in 1 week, as we've seen, even a couple losses and a couple wins for another team, and you're not in a good spot anymore.
Absolutely. Very important to take care of your business, and hopefully you get a little help from the other games on the schedule, but it's still dogfight timing.
Yeah, for sure. Other note should be happening is in the WNBA now, you are no longer allowed to bring in bags because people keep throwing things on the court.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate topic we need to talk about that happened on multiple occasions this week.
Not once, not twice, but thrice, in fact. 3 times.
Did you hear about who claimed responsibility for the axe and cast?
Last I heard is it was some part of like some coin crypto scheme allegedly that they were trying to pump.
There's a green dildo meme coin that claimed responsibility for the 3 separate occasions of interrupting and potentially injuring WNBA players. And while they claim that it is nothing specifically targeted at like the WNBA and they were just going for a shock factor event, it's like, yeah, but you picked the WNBA and not like a men's sporting event or something. So I don't know. It's a weird thing, but yes, it did turn out to be a crypto meme coin.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, very unfortunate that now affects every other person who wants to go attend a WNBA game.
Don't bring a bag with you. What you got in your pockets or hands, that's about all you can carry in now.
And with the size of some of these pockets, you could still sneak one in.
They are going to be patting you down for sure. And that is going to be a tough conversation to have in front of a lot of people. Speaking of memes, let's talk about baseball.
Okay. What a transition.
Let me tell you. Why is it a meme? Because we are the home of the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, we are.
What happened this week? Talk to me.
Yeah, well, when we last left our Rockies, we were losing that game against the Pirates. We did go ahead and take that L in a 9-5 loss as we last left them before ending the recording. And I told you that the Toronto Blue Jays were coming to town. I had not been keeping a very close track on the American League this year. The Toronto Blue Jays are one of the hottest offensive teams of the last couple of months and enjoyed their All-Star break quite a lot and came back out of it hitting just as well as ever.
Young guns do look pretty good.
So they came into Coors Field and everyone was kind of like, I bet that we get 1 or 2 blowouts out of this. No one was quite expecting all 3 games to be absolute whoopings. Now, I will give our boys just the tiniest sliver of credit for, in the second game of the series, putting up a tiny semblance of a fight and not getting drubbed absolutely and outrightly completely. But yeah, it was an ugly no wins in the 3 games from the Blue Jays. The finals on those games were a total of, we had 15-1 in game 1, 10-4, that was the close one in game 2, and then in game 3, a 20-1 loss. We gave up not since 1933, I believe, had a team accumulated 60-plus runs in a 3-game series, and the Blue Jays put up 63 in the 3 different games. That's an average of 21 hits per game.
That is a lot of hits.
Yeah, it's far too many hits. The sign of an absolute collapse and disaster of a bullpen and pitching rotation. Poor Kyle Freeland, I don't remember if it was after game 1 or game 3, but they, doing his locker room interviews, and he was just like, that was bad pitching from everyone.
This poor guy just has to answer all of the terrible questions.
And props to him. He stood there and, gave an honest response where he was like, yeah, the pitching wasn't good, didn't keep us in the game, didn't give us an opportunity, the starters didn't set the tone, relievers didn't stop the bleeding, and you're just not going to win that way. And he's 100% right, which is, part of the reason the Rockies are not a good team. We did get to see a lot of home runs from those Blue Jays, though. Bo Bichette picking up where his daddy left off at Coors Field, and he enjoys the thin mountain air.
A lot of people should.
A very much feel-good series for the Toronto team in their little trip down here to the Rocky Mountains, and leaves us still at 30 wins with an off day on Thursday and then a 3-game set in the desert in Arizona, which we have already lost that series by losing games 1 and 2. We are in the middle of, actually they've just we're still in the first third of game 3 currently as we are recording, but that is a current score of 4-3 Diamondbacks. So not looking great for the boys in purple pinstripes. The magic number for the Rocks now as we wind down the season to avoid the worst record of all time, they need 11 more wins. And that would tie the White Sox of last year with 41.
And we
are on a 6-game losing streak currently.
How many games do we have left now, roughly? Because we have this next week, the week after, and one more.
So their record currently is 30-86. That's 116 games played. So we still have another 50 to go.
Possible.
11.
It should be likely right-ish.
It depends on how long these cold streaks go.
That is true. We had a pretty good hot streak there.
Yeah.
An unsurprising one, in fact. But now we're at a pace now where we're winning not quite a third, but we're not losing a fourth, I would say.
Again, it's been fairly inconsistent after the All-Star break because it has looked very... even just coming out of the All-Star break, we had a very different roster than what we've been running out in Arizona currently because been getting even more young kids called up and making MLB debuts. I think we're into double digits now on MLB debuts for the Rockies this year.
Curious if we have to have a record of number of players that have played in a Rockies jersey by now.
It's got to be pretty close for sure. But I will double check on that for next week because I'm sure we'll still see some more up until September. I don't know when that changed. September used to be they expand the roster for by 10 spots, and now it's by 2. So you don't get to see the young kids come up and really let the veterans have a month off in September anymore. But yeah, that is about another 8 weeks left on the docket for the Rocks as well. So yeah, we'll be keeping track of that. That's kind of my new metric for the end of the season here. Just keeping track of that magic number to are we setting the record or not, baby?
I want us to set the record, but I don't know if it's going to be possible. We are just slightly too good, it feels like right now.
We get on hot, there's enough pockets of talent on the roster, like we said, where some nights a guy will steal a game for you. We've had Hunter Goodman home run us to a couple of wins. We've had surprisingly good pitching from someone every now and then. So it's, not unheard of, but our average right now, I think it's going to come right down to the wire. And the fact that we have still a lot of divisional play left, which means a lot of Dodgers, a lot of Giants and Padres, and
those are butchers.
Exactly. So we still have a series with the Cubs coming up ahead as well before we're out of the year. So a lot of good teams who will be looking to come get their piece of us. So we're out in Arizona now. We're gonna go out to St. Louis next week. Come back to Colorado to play the Dodgers for a 4-game set. Have the Dodgers. We're going to go see the Pirates again still. We've got to go play the Astros, Giants, Padres. Oh, boy. The first half of September is just divisional games.
Yeah, it's not going to be very good.
It's rough out there. We do get to maybe beat up on the Marlins one more time, the one team we swept.
I feel like they're going to get their get back, though. That's the game they have to have marked on their schedule.
It's going to be here in Colorado, so that'll be fitting if we drop that one. Let's see. Oh, we get to see Big Dumper before the end of the year too.
We go out there though, don't we?
We sure do. Yeah, it's going to be Marlins and Angels, and then that'll be the last home series. We'll go out on a West Coast road trip to end the year, Seattle, then San Francisco. Yeah, so I still think we are going to set that record this year. It's 11 is a lot of wins for this team.
Oh, it is, but I don't know. How many series left? That's the real question.
14 series, varying between 3 and 4 games. Most of them 3, though.
Is it asking too much to win a game of series? Like the Dodgers feel
yes.
like so.
We probably average right now. We're probably averaging like 1 every 8 games or so.
Let's do some math here on This Week in Sports.
Oh,
okay, so we know the Dodger series is chalked. Let's say we probably end up getting swept, even if we play their best and when we play their secondary people.
So that is 7 losses right there.
Out of the however many, we just need to figure out if we can get win a series. Not possible there. Can we? Who do we play before Arizona? Arizona, we might be able to steal 1 from.
We're competitive. Like last night's game, it was a 6-5. It was a tie ball game going into the 9th, but they did blow it in Arizona. So, yeah, I mean, Diamondbacks are about the one team we kind of can punch with, but the other 3, I don't think so. I don't even think like we're going to be that competitive against the Giants, who aren't that good. But
oh, no, I don't think we can. They just kind of have our number.
Yeah, exactly.
St. Louis?
We didn't. I think the Cardinals swept us last. No, we took 2 out of 3 from them.
We did beat
when
them.
They came to Coors Field earlier.
Possible. That's like 2 wins maybe there.
It's possible to steal a couple out of those series. I don't know about if we take 1 from the Pirates in Pittsburgh. That'll depend on
Houston.
Their pitching. Yeah. I don't think we take any from the Cubs.
Let's assume we can take. So
I think the Marlins and Angels, that back-to-back 3-game set, those are probably our 6 best shots at a W for the back half here. Because the Mariners are definitely too good. Giants are too good. So if they can take those 6 and then find 5 more wins, 5 more unlikely wins in the other series.
I have them at 8-ish, roughly. So they'd have to end up winning a series somewhere in here, which
would be surprising.
Oof. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way, but who knows?
It's fun to be at this part where it's like, oh, I kind of see the end in sight, and the tracking is they're not going to make it.
I don't know. There's something in me that tells me they're not bad enough to make my dreams come true. They always like to hurt me.
I mean, that's what we'll be keeping an eye on. We'll see if they can dash your dreams or not.
Tell us about some other baseball stuff that's happening.
Yeah, while the Rockies are out of town this week, getting their butts whooped out in the desert, Coors Field is still hopping and happening.
Out.
A sold-out weekend affair at Coors Field this week to host everyone's favorite new attraction in the baseball world, the Savannah Bananas.
Bananas of the Savannahs.
And Banana Ball came to Denver. If you didn't get tickets, don't feel left out. They sold out within hours of coming on sale. And I was downtown last night, and yeah, there were definitely a lot of fans out.
Oh, so many people.
It was wild. So yeah, I didn't actually see any of the action since I was not there at the stadium. Haven't seen any of the highlights or whatnot yet, but huge turnout. As always, though, they did always put on a good show. Savannah Bananas against the firefighters they play against? It's like the Georgia firefighters or something. Because they have the what's the other ones who are like the Grillers or something?
They have we went through all these team names. There's the Visitors, the Savannah Bananas, the Firefighters. There's the pink team that everyone loves.
That's the Party Crew or something.
Yep, the Party Animals.
That's
the Texas Tailgaters.
Tailgaters, yeah, not the Grillers.
Yeah, I think they're just called the Firefighters.
Okay, I thought they had a city name or something for convention, but that's fine. It's still fun. I like that it's expanding because I think originally it was just this Savannah Bananas and the Party Animals, and now they've got a couple more teams to wrinkle in there. Yeah,
they're just the Party Animals, the Firefighters, the Visitors, and the Texas Tailgaters.
Okay.
And an alleged new team, and a couple of new teams coming next year.
Fantastic. Well, that's exactly what you want to see out of a event that is, kind of powerhousing its way through growth here. Like, can't think of a league that has popped off this hot. considering that just like, maybe 5 years ago, this was a thing that was happening at like high school baseball fields and whatnot, and they've grown it now to the Coors Field event is their biggest sellout yet. It's the biggest stadium they've been to. Over 50,000 fans for last night's attendance.
It's crazy. So the dude who owns it, I saw an interview with him. They asked him if the MLB's ever approached him to own this thing, and he's like, no. Nor would I ever sell it.
Yeah.
His motive for this is just to create a fun experience. Like, there are no like fees or anything with any of the tickets. There's no fees or anything with any of the merchandise. His goal is he just wants to make this as big as possible, and he just believes by doing so the numbers will come in for sure. Like, there's no value he can put or give him to give up this up, basically.
Yeah, which is fantastic because it is working according to plan 100%, and he's 100% right that if you create a product that is at a fair market value and provides worthwhile entertainment, folks will come and see it if you make it available to them. Plain and simple. Don't make them jump through multiple hoops like weird ticket fees and sales and stuff like that. Let it be a fun event to take the family out to, where everyone can come away with a little souvenir from the gift shop and some snacks and have a good time. That's what kind of the dream of baseball used to be, and I think a lot of people would agree that that is very much not the reality of a trip to the ballpark for a lot of folks anymore.
Do you think with like the Savannah Ball and how what it's doing, it feels almost like professional sports as we know it today is much less about the sport than it is about the business anymore? Like we spent all week talking about how poorly the NFLPA was doing and why the MLB is not going to is probably going to go on strike here fairly soon. Like it's not like fun as like a sport should be. Like, you're playing a game out there, but there's so much more to it nowadays.
There's definitely, I think, something to be said for like that. The two of some of the more established leagues like the NFL and the MLB are having these issues in a environment, where they've been around so long. There's no way that they haven't like lost sight of that sort of initial premise of this is a game, these are sports that we're playing, and it's sort of like there's an era, and I would say it probably happened in the 90s somewhere, where they evolved past being an entertainment like sports game and turned into a media business, and that has for sure hurt the fan experience of the sporting event, I would say, despite what I'm sure the league representatives would say when they come out with all their press releases that are like, oh, for the good of the fan experience, whatever, tickets cost X amount now or whatever. It's just, there's like a certain size that they've hit in those more well-established leagues that I think the Banana Ball franchise has the fresh, clear eyes to try and steer clear of now, hopefully. Can like use that as an example of like, here's what we don't want to do in our long-term strategy. Yeah,
it just feels the way they present Banana Ball. One is the one misconception I think a lot of people have about it is that they're not playing the real sport. They are actually playing a baseball game out there. They are still
playing a game that looks a lot like baseball. There are some wrinkles to it that make it a distinctly different affair, but yeah, it is still a competitive, like, two teams trying to beat each other.
Yeah, it's not like a Harlem Globetrotters where this whole thing is scripted. Like, you can't, if you can script where a baseball goes, right, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame in general.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and because that is a thing, and it's difficult to explain to folks who don't really pay attention to sports sometimes without using that as a metaphor. To be like, well, they're playing baseball, but not exactly how baseball plays baseball. And, you can tell them like they have some like different gimmicks and things going on, but the only thing that tends to make it click for people is like, kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters. And then they go, oh, got it. And it's like, yeah, I see why you don't want that as the main comparison, but also unfortunately, they are doing something that doesn't have a lot of easy comparison to give it. But I think it's growing at such a rate where we are not going to have that problem as much, and it'll be like trying to explain baseball to someone, which is its own level of difficulty. My other big note out of baseball this week, we had a big barrier broken in terms of employment in the league. We have our very first woman umpire in the major leagues. Jen Pawal was the first woman to officially be an umpire for an MLB game. She's working the series of the Miami Marlins versus the Atlanta Braves this weekend. Made her debut on Saturday, I believe, as one of the base umpires, and then today, I believe, had home plate duties. So
she's working. I think she had a double header today. In fact, even
is potentially likely with scheduling in the summer and all that. So yeah, but very exciting. Jen has been the sort of barrier breaker for several other levels of minor league baseball as well. So very fitting that they give her the honor of breaking the MLB barrier as well. And it's a tough one because bless anyone who feels the calling to be an umpire, a referee, any one of those rule-keeping jobs in professional sports, because it is thankless, and don't know how people do it for a living, because I did it for a summer for teenagers and it sucked.
Yeah, it's not one. You have to be basically born to do the job almost. It feels like there are some names out there in the professional sports whose names we all know because we may or may not have cursed that person out, or we've seen their face on the television so often. It's tough to be a keeper of the game. Like you said, it's thankless, and unfortunately they are just humans, and they are not going to get everything right, especially in some of these faster paced games.
Until we bring in the robots.
Until we start bringing in some robots. I feel bad for them in the MLB because that is the first one where they'll have a little bit less control on things as we see I think they're going to be able to challenge the strike zone next year, if I remember correctly.
The automated system will be backing up basically so that if managers can call 2 challenges per game, you got to pick your spots and make sure it's really worth your while to go to the review. It's
also funny to me, like we're talking about, that they're going to make mistakes, but also everyone hates reviews because it takes so much time. So it's like, which would you rather have the game be correct, or would you rather keep the pace and play of the game as is? It's like, yeah.
It's tough. Speaking of a little interesting segue here, did you know they have video replay now in the Little League World Series?
I did not know. I'm not shocked.
Right.
But I did not know that. That feels a little bit too far for...
It's very wild. There's been a few controversies. Little League World Series has been happening here these past couple weeks.
Yeah, I can't imagine the Little League World Series umps are better than the MLB ones.
They are all volunteers for the Little League circuit, so that's fun. And they have this extra layer, of like technology, because I think the pitchers and catchers are also doing the headpiece communication instead of signals. That being said, there was a controversy earlier in the week. I don't know if you saw this. John Boy had a pretty good breakdown on it, of a team got warned and then second warning, quote unquote, / partially ejected for a little bit for stealing signs from second. The second plate umpire called a warning the first time he saw a kid do it. They had like a very specific like wipe on the pant leg if you're the base runner on second base, for like if you should be taking it or swinging to the batter. And here's the funny thing. It is only in the rule books, not allowed in Little League. Once you get to high school ball, they no longer address it in the rule book.
That sounds... No, that needs to be changed, because the way, like we kind of talked about, the way sports have gone now, you start becoming like a freak of nature in these sports at like that Little League level. You can kind of tell whether you got it or not.
Yeah.
Starting there.
Especially because if you're not familiar with the format of it, to get into the Little League World Series, you have to be already one of the best teams in your like geographic district and have gotten through a whole extra, like a previous year's worth of tournaments and whatnot to come out of your state as the little league representative. So yeah, these are the kids who are like in it for the long haul, are doing the travel clubs. This isn't just like, oh, I'm playing for my school little league season in the spring or something. Kids, these guys are serious, guys and gals, because we also have the softball World Series happening at the same time, which I caught a bit of yesterday. That was also a wild game, but yeah. So I because that's where I saw them use the replay. They had a bang bang play at first base, and were able to go to video review in Williamsport to go take a look at it, which is a funny thing because it is like, yes, we're giving them the professionals level of production and everything, but there is a that's kind of right on the line to me where it feels like maybe this is too much for the kids.
It does feel like a lot for them. I can't imagine going from that back to your regular circuit.
That's where I was kind of on the fence too, because that is, I think, one of the rewards of making it to it, because it is such a struggle to get to the Little League World Series. Is like, it's kind of fun that it's a little Olympic village for the players, and they do their whole like pin trading thing through the week. I think it is kind of fun to let them live sort of the big leaguer fantasy for that couple of weeks in Williamsport. So that being said, the parents go crazy, of course, and had a few instances of less than stellar sportsmanship that have been caught on camera this week.
Sounds about right. Sports parents do be crazy.
Absolutely. And like I said, these are the intense hardcore ones who are doing this all year round.
All year round, they are in all the training sessions with the private trainers. They're probably playing every weekend for the most part throughout the year, to just full on. This is life for them.
Which is the thing I was noting with Leo while we were watching. There are some funny things because they interview all the kids, all the players, with like, what's your favorite movie or favorite show or whatever, and a bunch of them have some weird answers.
It's always funny to look back at some of those and see those dudes turn into MLB players.
Yeah, for sure. But like, for 13-year-olds here in the year 2025, I wouldn't think many of them would say their favorite actor was Tom Cruise.
He's around still.
He's around still, I guess. It's just he's kind of on the old side. And it was the thing of like, oh, these are kids who probably maybe are only watching what their parents are watching or whatever.
Very possible.
So yeah, otherwise their head's in the ball game. Yeah. So next week I'll probably have a report on who's actually won the tournament, because I think all the championship games are happening today.
We like to hear that. Now, on to the sport that everyone's so excited about that is around the corner. America's true sport, true pastime. The NFL preseason week 1, like we talked about, did kick off last week. It's like week 0 kind of technically.
Yeah, Hall of Fame game gets us started, but no one else is really on track at that time.
Nope, we had our first look at some games this week. Some major notes, mostly major injuries for some of these teams. Unfortunately, the Chargers do lose their big signed tackle, Slater. He's done for the season.
Just signed a 4-year extension.
Huge contract, and he's going to be sitting this year out for them, so that's unfortunate. One of the Lions defensive backs went down with a head injury, which kind of canceled their game out. He did get ambulanced out of the arena. He did say all was okay afterwards, and things are all good, so good, thank God for that.
Yeah, scary moment for sure, especially in a preseason week 1 game where it's like, no one wants that.
Yeah, and then Anthony Richardson of the Colts did have a little...
Scared all of Indianapolis in that game 1. Yep. Exited with a hand injury.
Yep, dislocated pinky. He should be okay. This is kind of he's been kind of going through a rigmarole of injuries, it feels like, this offseason, because he was out a little bit earlier. Right before that, I think they started training camp, he got hurt, and now he's hurt again, so... Wish them luck. From the actual gameplay side of things, though, for Colorado, the big notes here is Shedeur did start game 1 for the Browns. He had a pretty decent time, actually, out there for the most part. Browns tickets skyrocketed from the $12 to $150 some for that preseason game to go watch Shedeur play. Travis Hunter did also play. This week he did start wide receiver and did get some reps over that cornerback. He is going to go and do the dang thing. He's going to try to be a professional at both sides. I wish him luck to do so. In that game as well, Cam Little, a name you should get to know, kicker for the Jacksonville Jaguars. 70-yard field goal to his name in preseason, but doesn't go in the record books.
Does not count in preseason.
Which is so dumb.
That is, I saw a lot of online discussion about this because it's like, just because it's one of those things where most other records you would discount in the preseason because it's, not the other team's best players that you're playing against. But you can't really argue that the 70-yard kick is any different in the preseason than it would be in the regular season. It's the same distance, same stadium conditions. Is it really that big a difference that the other guys on special teams?
The officials say yes, apparently.
Yeah, no, I see that they did, but I for sure, like, if I'm Cam Little, I'm for sure being like, I've got the 70-yard
I'm with
again.
you. Apparently he buried it for an extra 4 yards to go. Man has
it cleared easily. It was not like a doink off the crossbar. He had the leg for it.
Yeah, he has a rocket attached to his leg for sure.
Definitely a good sign of the Jags are probably going to stretch the field in their kicking game a little bit this year if they know they have that.
Potentially. You got to rush him. Maybe it is different in a game. Who knows? I would expect not, but who knows? Other gameplay, Cam Moore, the number 1 overall pick, I do believe, from this year. Got to start with the Titans. He had a pretty okay go at things. I think they are on the up and up after a number of different QB selections over in that town of Tennessee. Over in New York, we have, I think, a little bit of a conversation. They had 3 different quarterbacks see time over there. One name we know very well, Russell Wilson, got a drive to his name and is technically their starter. From the reports I saw, read, heard, Jackson Dart, I think from Ole Miss, in fact, had the best outing for them. But Jameis Winston, who's also a backup out there, did not have a terrible time either. He looked pretty good out there as well. Both Dart and Winston had scoring drives to their name, multiple scoring drives to a touchdown. Russell had 1 drive with a field goal. I don't know if they have enough data to figure out what's going on out there quite yet. But I think they are all on board for Russell, but I could see them potentially wanting to do a little bit of a switch up.
Yeah, Russell seems like the safe choice to at least start the year with, because at this point that you can bench him and it's fine.
They don't really have a lot to play for right now, at least currently. And of course, in the Denver area here, we did see the same. We went out to San Francisco, been out there all week, getting into little skirmishes and fights and whatnot with the 49ers. And we finally played them yesterday. Denver does come away with a win 30-9. San Francisco did start off the game with a touchdown scoring drive
and a safety.
Good on them.
Not a great look for the starters out of this one, but we didn't see a lot of them.
Not a great start for the starters. Everyone is a little bit rusty, but as the game went on, I think they got a full, basically, I don't know if it's a quarter or a half.
I think 1, because Stidham had all the touchdowns.
But defensively, we looked like we were sort of getting back on page. Offensively, we looked okay. Everyone was all worried. Sean Payton put all the rookies down at the bottom of the depth chart. Once again, like we talked about, he always does this. RJ Harvey did get the start for the game. But overall, I think everyone is doing as expected for the Denver Crew. Preseason is scary for all. Why? Because one, we get kind of a look at who's going to be what, but you also have you could always have a terrible start and things don't look how you thought they would, or you have injuries that happen. And this is why everyone kind of loves and hates preseason a little bit. Mostly hates. I don't think anyone loves preseason, in fact.
No. The people who are getting value out of the preseason are largely like the coaches making the decisions on like the bubble players, like we've discussed, and the owners of the stadiums where the games are being played, and you have an event to sell tickets and concessions at.
It is a good time to figure out who your sort of role players or backups are going to be.
It's going to be the most realistic practice to.
Yeah, I get that, but also if you're the Chargers right now and you have Slater down for the year, who you're going to still pay a lot of money this year, regardless, is it worth it?
I mean, I think he was a training camp injury anyway, but it's kind of like par for the course for all the teams. Like almost everyone kind of expects someone to go down, and like. Already, I think I didn't make it a full list, but there were at least 3 separate like draftees from the later rounds of this year who have blown out ACLs or MCLs already.
Yeah, it's tough for me. Like the contact sports are the hardest one. Like you know your body only has so many different like hits and whatnot it can truly take before you start to really, really wear down or don't want to do it anymore. But also you need a certain amount of contacts
practice, yeah.
before you kind of get in the groove of things and things kind of feel normal. So it's like, I don't know where to find that balance. You need the preseason to get all the hits in. If you're the Dallas Cowboys,
because otherwise the injuries happen week 1, week 2, week 3.
if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you know this very well, because all of your players who are holding out, CeeDee Lamb's, the Dak Prescott's, Micah Parsons, Ezekiel Elliott's, list of names do not play well in the seasons that they are holding out, because they haven't done any practice, no practice or contact or anything, and it takes them forever to get started. And when they get going, guess what? The season's done. So I don't know. It is good to see some things out there. I will be interested to see more as we kind of get into actual play. Once again, preseason means nothing to a lot of these dudes out here, nothing for the schedule.
Yeah, you're not seeing, like, the little bit of the starters we are seeing. We're not going to see them run the interesting offense or anything. They're not going to put out any of the fun wrinkles or anything yet in preseason.
No one's going to show their hand.
Base.
Yep.
Yeah. So very much the sort of like scouting practice time of year where everyone can feel like they know how to evaluate football players.
Yes, I've seen this before. I understand it now. Other news in the NFL world, TB12 got himself a statue out there in New England. I mean, well-deserved, man.
We knew it was coming. I think my take on this is the quality of statue craftsmanship is declining in our modern era.
We seen the Dwayne Wade one, which I think was the last one we got.
The Dwayne Wade one, there was the Ronaldo one.
The Ronaldo one was a couple years ago, and that one, they got redone.
It did, yes. But like in general, it's the first swing has been not so good for the most part on recent likenesses in sports statues. I think there were like, because what they've done, if you haven't seen, and we'll go ahead and put this up on the website if you need the visual reference, but basically the fist raise from the end of The Breakfast Club when what's his face is walking off the field with his fist in the air. It's not really like a signature Tom Brady pose or anything. He has more iconic gestures, I think, but yeah, it's a fist raised in the air. His head is a little too small for the rest of the body proportion wise, and it took me 3 different images of this thing to realize they had put his number 12 on the jersey, because from some angles and like some of the photos you can't tell it's not just a blank jersey that they've sculpted him in.
Like Dwayne Wade said, it's not supposed to be, and it's not me exactly. It's the embodiment of me.
Little head, big arms. I don't know. I guess if I had a legendary sports career, I would be a little pickier about my statue, but that's just me. And maybe a problem I don't have to worry about, probably.
Probably not.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have the Raiders being the Raiders.
Cameras caught Geno and Max Crosby flipping off the Seattle fans already out there in Vegas, which, yeah, what do you expect out of the Raiders? Of course, they're already talking trash with the fans.
I mean, it's like to be expected.
But very funny for Geno Smith to immediately be turning on the Seahawks fans.
That's as soon as you put on the jersey, it does something to you. The helmet,
I guess so. That black and silver, it's like the Venom.
It's crazy because it's Pete Carroll's out there running this old nice man. Pete Carroll.
He does not. He sticks out like a sore thumb in that organization in those colors now.
Yeah, doesn't look quite right.
No. We'll see how they do as a unit, though. I have so high of expectations for them. They
got a tough schedule to play. I mean, the West is not to be trifled with, even with the Chargers kind of losing pieces as is, us and then Kansas City. The West is going to be a tough division, once again, I do believe.
But I think we are more well-positioned than we have been in quite a long time. I feel pretty good. How do we feel? We don't have to get too deep into this yet, but Kansas City coming off the bad Super Bowl loss, does that motivate them to be better, or are they still kind of just par for the course? We know what we're getting out of them. So
they're running into the problem of they have to pay all these people. So the NFL contracts are all structured so differently and whatnot. But now that we are kind of getting in, you promised everyone to get paid, and now all the extensions are hitting, and you continually have to pay people. I think they've reached a point now where they can no longer, and they're doing so well where you can't draft like the super great talent you need anymore, like the Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hills, the top 10, 15 picks you don't get anymore. There's no great free agents out there, especially for the positions of high value. Your quarterback or the wide receivers are kind of stuck wherever they get drafted for the most part, unless they get traded somewhere else for valuable pieces. Draft capital is hard to come by because no one wants anything that they have anymore. And the players that have been the cornerstone of your franchise are getting old. So the Kelce's of the world. Pat Mahomes isn't young anymore, but he still has a lot more to go than Kelce, I think, has left in the tank. Their defense is a little bit on the older side now as well. I think they'll be good, but I don't think they have it in them anymore to win the big one like they've done in the past.
I certainly think, their window for like, this is the dynasty, probably closed with that last Super Bowl. And now not that they can't get back there, but it's not going to be like, write them in as the number one favorite. They're going to have to earn their way back up there through the AFC.
Yeah, and there's always the comparison of Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady, but I think the one thing that New England did especially well in their dynasty era, looking back on it, like Bill Belichick, he's not a super guru offensive mind. He's been the defensive mastermind for basically the entire time he's been in the NFL for the most part. So having the primary focus be on defense there and stopping teams and only having your offense score so much is the complete opposite of what Kansas City has built their team to be on. They're built to be score fast and have all the skill guys in the defense. You kind of leave at the wayward side. You're not paying them nearly as much or filling the right spots over there.
And we kind of saw how that worked out in the Super Bowl, where it was like, this offense that if it doesn't go quick, fast, high scoring, it doesn't really work.
No, because if you play another high, like talent offensive team like the Philadelphia Eagles, where you have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts all on one side, and Goddard catching the ball. Like, you can't match up with all these dudes, and you know they're going to score because they're extremely talented. And my defense isn't competing with them, versus they have some pieces on defense where
they can lock down some of our options.
I might not score every drive, and maybe every other drive where I'm giving up points probably every drive to them, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown. That's almost like an impossible mission.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I agree. I think this is probably, the Chiefs have already had to like facelift a little since they started winning Super Bowls with Mahomes already, but there was already some talk in the offseason if Kelce was going to come back or not. And
if they can find the skill pieces around Mahomes, I think they'd be fine. Like some value picks that would, like the Patriots had done in their dynasty era, / maybe not pay so many of your skill guys to keep them around and replace them when needed. But they just don't have that right now. Everyone that they've sort of kind of taken a gamble on hasn't worked out as well as they wanted to since Tyreek left, for the most part, I would say.
Like I said, I think this is probably the last year we'll think of this era of the Chiefs, and it's probably next year it'll be like a new addition. Yeah,
I think looking forward, I still think I have them winning our division, because like you still have Pat Mahomes, you still have you do have Kelce out there, and like I said, I don't know, their defense still feels a little bit soft to me, but I think they have enough talent on the offensive end still, even with just Pat Mahomes by himself, that they can find ways to win games. It's not going to be huge margins anymore, but enough to be the difference maker, which is all you need.
Yeah, which is basically what they did last year. Like we were still right there on their heels at the end of it. So I agree. I think pencil them in week 1 here, or preseason, as the favorite until we see otherwise.
Yep, I agree with that.
Well, is there any other sports news to cover this week?
There's not.
Well, then before we close things up, we have to talk about Players of the Week.
Players of the Week.
I will go ahead and throw out my nomination for baseball this week. Gotta give it the nod to Shohei this week. He is up to 40 home runs in the National League, not quite pacing, not quite catching up to Big Dumper, but the list of players who have hit 40 home runs over the past 3 seasons, like each of the past 3 seasons, Shohei Ohtani, end of list.
Yeah, I saw that there's a crazy stat out there. I saw a comparison between like the only other person you can compare him to, especially this season, is Babe Ruth, and or even his career wise, the pace he's hitting and the way he's pitching, it's like he's even outpacing.
He's better than Babe Ruth.
Yes,
both of those.
Which is an blasphemous thing to say in
little bit
in the baseball thing, but it is. Statistically, you can't argue it.
Unless you are, maybe there is a photographic memory 109-year-old out there who saw Babe Ruth play in their childhood and now gets to witness Shohei Ohtani be like, damn, kids got it.
Yeah, they can't see. They're not going to see. They're going to. What's the radio
hear
broadcast?
The play-by-play. Yeah. So Shohei is going to be my nod in our baseball action for the PLL. No Outlaws to nominate this week, of course, but I'm going to give the nod to the New York Atlas's MVP, probably leading favorite player for this season, Connor Schellenberg, in their 20-19 close call win over the Chaos this week, put up 7 points, cementing himself with the league-leading 47 points in 10 games played, finished second in goals and assists for the season overall, with 23 each, or ended up with 24 goals, actually. They have not updated this stat page. So yeah, I have to give the nod to who probably should be. I mean, that sounds like an MVP to me, putting up like an average of 6 points a game.
How many points? What is like the average score? Like, how many points are you averaging usually in a PLL game?
Well, let's see. This 20-19 took over as highest scoring game of the year. The Outlaws averaged like about 14 goals a game. So providing half of that is still pretty significant.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah, so those are my nominees for Player of the Week. Who you got?
For me, I'm not going to nominate anyone from the NFL side because
I think we agree.
Jesus, there are so many people
Preseason, not yet.
Yeah. But on the WNBA side, I'm going with my girl Aja Wilson. Vegas, as we know, went undefeated this week up until they play later this evening. Aja contributed 23 points and 11 rebounds all week long to her team. She did jump them from being the bottom 7-8 team all the way up to 6 this week and are in the middle of a playoff hunt once again.
And definitely big because, I mean, I saw an interview with her at the All-Star game where they're like, Aja, what are we looking forward to in the second half? And she's like, winning more games. And true to her word, here we go, starting the climb right at the right time.
Yep, it doesn't really matter how you get to the dance. As long as you can get to the dance, you have a chance.
Absolutely. Well, that is a formidable list of top players. Who do we think is coming away with our overall Player of the Week this
Shohei
week?
Ohtani.
You giving it to Shohei? Boy, I feel like I wanted to give it to Connor Schellenberger. That's a pretty huge production for a season.
I love Connor. I would love me some huge season production, but again, we've come down to, I'm sure he is great at his sport and he's probably a potential MVP caliber man himself. Shohei Ohtani he is now better than Babe Ruth himself.
Absolutely. That's a very fair argument for all-time accomplishment. We will go ahead and give our Player of the Week nod at This Week in Sports to Shohei Ohtani of the LA Dodgers. Very good. Well then, that just leaves us one more bit of business, doesn't it?
It does.
Well then, let me get ready and you intro us in.
Welcome to our end of week quiz here. The quiz where one of our contestants our contestant has no clue what he's about to answer questions about, and our host has put together a devious quiz in which a majority of the time we will finish 50% or less. Hall of Fame baseball number, not so great on a test score potentially, but there got to be a curves here somewhere.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think it's a good sign of the knowledge we have of each other's sports depth, like the knowledge we have depth-wise of the sports, that we can kind of keep it at a good, challenging difficulty rating. That being said, it's a smaller quiz today, inspired by the record transfer fee that the LAFC paid for Sun Heung-min. I decided to do a little digging into some other record contracts, big numbers in terms of our local sports. So maybe this will be an easy one, maybe not.
Oh, local sports. This is interesting. Well, let's see where this goes. I'm sure there is a trap awaiting for me.
I have one that I would consider tricksy, but this first one I think is probably the closest to a gimme. But we'll see. Who is the highest paid Colorado athlete currently?
Nikola Jokic by a long shot.
Fantastic. Do you know the number off the top of your head? And I'll give you a bonus point.
So currently, I think he is making like $325 million, if I remember correctly. It's somewhere around that $325 million mark.
He's on a $276 million extension onto, I think, whatever his previous was. So yeah, you are 100% correct. Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets makes $55 million a year on his $276 million 5-year contract.
Is it wrong if we do our metrics in Nathan McKinnon's?
In Nathan McKinnon's. Nikola Jokic makes 3.5 Nathan McKinnon's a year on his... Now, here's the fun thing that I was going to kind of try and catch you on. Nathan McKinnon actually not the bottom of the list of biggest contracts of our big four teams.
Biggest contracts?
Yeah, so if we went like Rockies' biggest contract, Broncos' biggest contract, Nuggets' biggest contract, Avs' biggest contract, we know Jokic is on top.
Like, depends on how we do the number. If we're doing it like a yearly thing, or if it's per like the whole total contract. Yeah, because Nathan McKinnon's 12 for, what did we get him for? Like 100 years, 10 years?
It's an 8-year deal that Nathan McKinnon is writing.
Yeah, so that's $72 million. And I think that would probably, the Rockies one is Bryant, who made 300 some million somehow doing what he's done.
I think that might be his career. His current Rockies one is 182 million.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I would be weird that he isn't the bottom, because the Broncos one would have to be bigger.
You would think, but our current biggest contract of players actively on the Broncos roster. Russell Wilson kind of skews the Broncos data.
Sure.
Mike McGlinchey is currently the biggest salary cap hit to the Broncos roster. He is making $23.5 million on an $87.5 million 5-year deal. Nathan McKinnon only makes $12.6 on a $100 million 8-year deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm curious. I don't know if that's true anymore, because we just signed Zach Allen too.
Zach Allen is third on the spending list for this season.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny bunch at the top 5 of the Broncos salary cap right now.
Interesting.
But yeah. So that is question number 1. Question number 2. How many times has a Rocky been the highest paid player in the league?
In the league?
In the league.
Jeez, that is... the answer should be none. That's what the answer should be, but I could foresee them. So I would guess.
I'll go ahead and give you a little GM guidance here on this. I have a few of these questions coming. All of them are going to be one hand number or less.
One hand number or less.
5 or less.
Yeah, I would assume it's probably like twice. And I would assume the player that we would have broken off most recently, quote unquote, would have probably been like Larry Walker at the top of like we had him at the height of his career. So I would assume it would have been him. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with twice.
Close. 3 times altogether, but I could give you a little wrinkle for the twice, because the instances are not Larry Walker. Larry was never the highest paid player. Todd Helton was for the 2007 year at $16.6 million. That same year in New York, Jason Giambi, who would later be a Rocky, was making $23.5 million, was the highest paid player in the American League.
First basemen were at a hot commodity back then, or what?
Todd Helton was, I think, finished like 4th in MVP voting that previous year or something. So he got a new one. The most recent one, who no longer plays for the Rockies, Nolan Arenado.
I was going to say Nolan was...
His $35 million for the 2023 season that we technically were paying him, even though he was with Cincinnati, was tied with that one. Thank you. Was tied with Strasburg at the top of the league for that one. So now, similar vein here. How many times has a Colorado Ave been the highest paid player in the league?
Oh my gosh. That one's a tougher one. If it's one hand or less, 5 or less, 4 times would be my guess, because there's so many good, there's always been someone else better. Like, McDavid's always kind of topped McKinnon. McKinnon's never been the highest paid person. He's been close, but he has been maybe his highest paid for a day or whatever, a week.
I'm going to go ahead and pause your thinking out loud there, because you said the right number and I won't let you talk yourself out of it. 4 is the correct answer. I would love to hear your stab at which 4, though.
Which 4?
Yeah.
Peter Forsberg feels right for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
In the league, McKinnon probably was at for some amount of time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Sakic,
maybe. Maybe we paid Sakic first.
You have nailed all 3. Forsberg did it twice.
Yeah.
Joe Sakic, 97-98 season, was making $16.4 million which, if you'll notice, much more than any of the players he has been in charge of as a GM.
He's no sucker.
Peter Forsberg, after the market resets in like the 2000 season, was the highest paid player for the 2001 season at $10 million. And then for the 03-04 season, his $11 million was also tied for league lead. Nathan McKinnon, for the 23-24 season when his extension first kicked in, was my highest paid player in the league. He was taking home 16.5, but his cap hit was only the 12.6 or whatever. And then final version of this, how many times has a Nugget been the highest paid player in the league?
My instinct wants me to say 0, like just initially, because there's Jokic is paid an extraordinary amount of money, but he's not the highest paid
in the league. Yeah,
depending on how what we're going by highest paid, either per like whole contract or even per year. It'd have to be per year, so he's definitely not 0. Like, I don't think there's any. The only one, it would have to be way back when, potentially like an Alex English or something, when they were paid not nearly as much, but you would be considered high. But I couldn't imagine. Melo was never highly paid. Jokic isn't highly paid. Chauncey was under Melo. Allen Iverson had a very big contract when we traded for him. That would be the only one, potentially, maybe. But LeBron was still young in the league. Kobe was around, though, so I'd expect Kobe to be paid more.
There were a few other stars in that
Kobe
era.
to be paid more than Allen Iverson even still then.
I'll go ahead and say there is one time that a Nugget has been the highest paid player in the league, and your first thought was correct. It was in the old days. It was David Thompson.
Yep, Skywalker.
At $800K for the 78-79 season.
Because, that would make sense. He was somewhere in there. He was like an MVP caliber level player. He was like the best player in the NBA before things started to take a turn for him, as they sometimes did back in those days.
Indeed. So you're 2 of 4 so far, and I've got one more question left. So this will be the decider on whether you finish over 500 or not. Who has the largest NHL contract of all time? Was that Wayne Gretzky, Alex Ovechkin, Leon Draisaitl, or Joe Sakic?
Of all time?
All time. Throughout the history of the league, who has signed the biggest contract?
Not Gretzky. Him and Sakic are too old for what because the cap is, I would assume, exponentially grown since then.
We'll get into the history aspect of it here after.
Realistically, much like Michael Jordan himself, he should be the highest paid, but I know he's probably not. It's Gretzky. Ooh.
Yeah, Gretzky probably made more money over like his career, but not off his contract.
Not off his contract for sure. Who are the other, Draisaitl or Ovechkin? That one's tough. Ovechkin is worth a lot of money. He is a bazillion years old in the hockey realm. But I think because Draisaitl just re-signed, so I think that should be the top of the top. Well,
you were narrowed down to the correct final 2. Unfortunately, you did choose the wrong one. It is, in fact, the old Russian machine, Alex Ovechkin, who in 2012 signed a $124 million 13-year extension to beat out Draisaitl's current $112 million deal.
But he's for less money, but for less time.
Yes. Draisaitl definitely has the better deal. He is doing $112 million over 8 years. So average value would be Draisaitl, but
totally.
Take home money, Ovechkin still the king. You'll notice a little trend through that the numbers back in the old Avs days were already kind of trending up to what our current players are making at the top end of the scale.
Yeah, like Sakic was making 13 some million, which
he made
close.
16 back in 97, and no player has made over. I mean, they're crawling their way back into the teens right now. And that was all thanks to the 04-05 shutdown.
Which we learned about last week.
And that's how we're getting a broader understanding of our sports landscape through our fun little history detours here. The 04-05 lockout reset the entire market when they came back.
That's crazy.
The new rule was that no player could make more than 20% of a team's cap. So the max contract got tied to what the salary cap of the league was.
I assume that's no longer true.
Nope, it still is.
Really?
It still is, and is the only reason the contracts are starting to crawl up now, because the cap is finally like getting back to the previous like 90s, 2000s era.
That seems wild to me that any sport would have you cannot pay this person more than this.
Which helps explain why the hockey contract landscape is the way it is.
I mean, it is good for the teams in the league because that really makes it like a very competitive landscape.
You can't do an LA Dodgers and just overpay a bunch of guys because you can't give Draisaitl or McDavid more than 20%.
You can't shoot yourself in the...
Yeah, it kind of keeps the GM from being able to just sink the team.
Yeah, I'm going to pay this one player $1 bazillion, and that is my cap. He gets the Colorado Eagles with him the rest of the way through.
Yeah, basically. So that is our closing quiz this week. A solid 2 out of 5.
There's some extra credit points in there somewhere. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. We had you were in the ballpark for a lot of it.
I got the extra credit stuff. It's just the regular.
The main question.
The makeup for the misses on the other questions. I got. That's exactly. All I'm out.
Yeah.
With that being said, take us out.
Absolutely. Thank you, as always, for sticking with us through another week of sports reporting here at This Week at Sports. If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star review on Spotify. Give us a follow over there. Comments are always helpful as well in getting the show to pop up in other people's feeds and get them guessing along with us on the closing quiz, finding out who our players of the week are, all that good stuff. You can also find us over on our YouTube at 321pods and at our website, same thing, 321pods.com, 321pods. Getting a little new fresh coat of paint over there, and guys can check all that out. I think what I'm going to start doing as well on the website is putting in some multimedia bits along with the audio file for the episode. So if you want to check out last week, Kayla McBride's performance, we got the YouTube highlight video up there so you can see why we named her Player of the Week. And we'll try and include some more goodies like that in our multimedia experience here. And with that, I have been, I am closing up the kitchen, mopping up the floors, turning the lights off as I go home. Nick, with our front of house, tipped out everyone and has been gone for a couple hours already.
Doors are all locked. We'll see you guys next week.
Adios.